Well, here we are. I'm sad to say this is the end of the road for videos covering Majora's Mask. In just 5 short videos, we've accomplished a lot. We filled in a number of plot holes, such as when Majora was stolen and why Link was targeted. We also discovered that the flow of time in Termina is much faster than that of Hyrule, thus giving the Skull Kid a full 17 days to cause mischief before Link could intervene. After that, we wrote a full history of Termina and gave some lore to its temples and bosses. Then we uncovered Majora's true plot, aside from sending a big rock hurtling toward the earth. So where does that leave us? Well, if you know anything about the official Zelda timeline TM, you know that the game following Majora is Twilight Princess. So for this video, we'll be making a, hopefully, seamless transition from one game to another, some 100 years in the future. But please, if you haven't seen any of the previous videos in the series, take some time to check those out. Alright, to begin, a major fact we should note about Twilight Princess is the obvious, namely that Hyrule in this game differs greatly from the one we see in Ocarina of Time. The Hyrule scene in this era is much more expansive, none of the landmarks resemble or line up with those in its counterpart, to the point of making no sense at all, with no explanation. To me, it seems that large events have taken place in Hyrule, and it's those events that we'll be focusing on first. Before we dive into all of that, we need to back up a bit and talk about the end of Ocarina of Time and the start of Majora's Mask. You'll recall that after Link defeats Ganon and Zelda sends him back to the past, he goes out of his way to see Princess Zelda again in the castle courtyard. The game ends with Link stepping into the courtyard and Zelda looking at Link with surprise, much the same way she did the very first time they met. But here's the thing, guys, for Zelda, this is the first time they've met. In Link's timeline, he has gathered all the spiritual stones, awakened the power of the sages and his friends, and stopped the Triforce from falling into Ganon's clutches. In the timeline Link has returned to, though, none of this has occurred yet or even been set into motion. This is because the Zelda 7 years in the future sent him back before his adventure had began, so that he could, as she puts it, regain his lost time. But this makes one thing very clear. The keys to the Sacred Realm still rest with their owners, and the Triforce is safe, but Ganondorf is still at large in this timeline. So Link didn't visit Zelda just for fun, he went there to warn her of what's coming. To support this claim, let's go back to Majora's Mask for a second, specifically the memory where Zelda gives Link the Ocarina of Time and teaches him the Song of Time. This, of course, is the continuation of the final scene of Ocarina of Time, and replaces the conversation where Zelda gives Link his mission to gather the spiritual stones by using Zelda's lullaby. I want to also refer to the opening cutscene of Majora's Mask, wherein it states that Link was done with the battles he once waged across time, so he embarked on a journey, a secret and personal journey. While it's true that Link is searching for Navi, I believe that Link was given a new mission by Zelda. I want you to ask yourself this question: doesn't it seem odd that Zelda would give Link her key to the Sacred Realm? Because she certainly didn't give Link the ocarina so he could control the flow of time in a faraway land. You see, Zelda knows well the legends told of the hero and the Sacred Blade. Long ago, in the era of Skyward Sword, the Triforce was hidden in a secret realm, the key of which was the Master Sword. Zelda and the royal family knew that Demise or some incarnation would return someday, so they put together a safeguard to protect Hyrule. They instructed the Kokiri, Zora, and Gorons to protect their key to the Sacred Realm and only give it to a hero of great courage. And if and when the hero opens the door of time, he would claim the legendary blade and the Triforce and put an end to the cataclysm that was Demise. This plan, of course, had one fatal flaw. If evil returned when the hero was too young to claim the Master Sword, the Triforce would lay unprotected. We all know how that played out, so what option do Link and Zelda have with Ganondorf on the rise? If they do as they had done before, many people they fought to save in the future would die again, and who knows, maybe Ganondorf would succeed this time in rightfully claiming the Triforce. So the answer is simple. Get the last and final key to the Door of Time as far away from Hyrule as possible, as well as the only living person who could open the way to the Triforce. This is why Zelda parts with the ocarina so freely. Even if Ganondorf was to obtain the 3 sacred gems, he wouldn't be able to move the Door of Time, nor could he touch the Master Sword and claim what he wanted. And with the removal of the ocarina from Hyrule, Link and Zelda would at least have some time to figure out what to do. Now, despite what almost happened in Termina, you know, with the whole planet being destroyed or whatever, getting involved in Majora's plot was maybe the best thing to happen to Link. It put him and the Ocarina as far out of Ganondorf's grasp as possible, and that's all well and good, but where does he go at the end of Majora's Mask? It's kind of funny because Tattle literally says to Link, "So why don't you just leave and go about your business?" What an asshole. I sorta assumed that Link left Termina shortly after with Epona, but we need to remember that this Link went on to become the hero shade of Twilight Princess. This spirit is the one who teaches the next hero his most powerful sword techniques, yet there's no explanation of how the youthful hero of Majora's Mask became this grizzled warrior we see later in the timeline. I don't want to get too far into the lore of Hero Shade because that kind of spoils things for later, so we'll start with this. Link didn't leave Termina right away as the game might have you believe. He actually spent quite a bit of time in Termina after Majora was defeated. How do I know that? Let's ask ourselves two important questions about the Hero Shade. First, how did he develop the secret sword techniques? And second, why does he appear as a wolf? To answer the first question, why don't we take a look at Ikana for an answer? We know that the king's lackeys were once the most decorated swordsmen in Ikana. If I were Link, a guy who just finished stopping 2 major cataclysms across 2 worlds, I wouldn't be so much relieved as I would be concerned for the future. Link must be asking himself, what could be next? Ganondorf is still out there, how can I stop him from destroying Hyrule again? If the Master Sword is the key to the Triforce, I can't claim it to defeat him until I'm worthy. I have to find a different way. It's for this reason that he would go to Aigos du Ikana for help, to get stronger. So it was in Ikana that Link developed the skill to perform the Ending Blow, Helm Splitter, and other advanced techniques before leaving Termina entirely. He may have also honed his skills in the Clocktown Swordsman School, assuming there's something beyond jump slashes to learn. That leaves his Golden Wolf form to explain. This is an interesting topic because it's presented as a symbolic transformation, parallel to Link when he is transformed by the Twilight Realm. But remember what the legends of the Twili tell us. Link's transformation into a blue-eyed beast is proof that he is the true hero, or as Midna puts it, we've long believed that the hero would appear as a divine beast. So how did the hero of time become a wolf? I looked for answers everywhere and didn't have much luck, so I decided to observe the Hero Shade for any clues as to what his origins might show. The symbols on his armor and shield don't closely resemble anything else in other Zelda games, but parts of his armor vaguely resemble Gerudo clothing. Notice also that there's a beast head on the helm and an animal face on the chest piece. To me, they look a bit nondescript, maybe like a bear, lion, or dog depending on what angle you look at. But follow me on this one. We know that residents of Termina are capable of transferring their essence into mask form. What if the helm and armor actually give the wearer the power to transform into a beast? In my video about Termina's history, I theorized that Aigos du Ikana is a guardian of great secrets and powerful weapons such as the Giant's Mask. And if we look at the colors and symbols on the helm and armor, it looks to me that it could be a product of Ikana. So when Link finished his sword training in Ikana, what if Aigos gave Link the helm and armor as a weapon against Ganondorf? Now, you're probably saying to yourself, why couldn't Link use the Fierce Deity's mask, since it's obviously one of the greatest powers in Termina? My guess is that its dark powers would warrant sealing it away forever, lest it corrupt Link or someone else beyond help. Regardless, Link would need another weapon when he returned to Hyrule, given that he couldn't pull the Master Sword, thus exposing the Sacred Realm to invasion. But that still leaves quite a few unknowns, like how the former hero of time met his end and how he lived his adult life. That and uncovering events in Hyrule that the game never discusses. Because one thing is clear, a lot happened in the 100 years between Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, and even more happened after Ganondorf was defeated once again. So sit tight, because the next series of videos are going to shine some light on a number of interesting topics. Well, I guess that's all I have to say about Majora's Mask. Again, if you stuck with me this long, I really can't thank you enough. This game has so many cool elements to it, and I think I succeeded in adding even more layers to its already dense plot. So if you liked this series, don't forget to subscribe, because there's even more lost origin stories to uncover in The Legend of Zelda. Also, check out my Twitch channel, and some of my speedrun PBs. See you next time, gamers!